Welcome to Sex Daily Podcast. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. I want to thank you guys for subscribing. We got a special guest today, Dave Spinks, Paranormal Investigator Dave Spinks. How are you doing tonight, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you being on, man.
Hey, my pleasure. Anytime.
And you're actually working on some books right now.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff in the works. Got a new book coming out called Beyond Mothman.
Hmm.
Uh, that'll be out probably in a couple of weeks now. It's almost done in the editing process and all that setup stuff they have to do. But that's based off my 20 plus years of investigating in and around Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the home of the Mothman. And a lot of people, they think that it's all the Mothman. That only thing happened in Point Pleasant. But let me tell you, that place is, I'd look at it as the East Coast of Skinwalker Ranch, man. There's so many things up there that have gone down. You've got ancient burial mounds where they found giant skeletons. You've got sightings of all kind of cryptids besides Mothman, the lizard man, chupacabras, dogmen, Bigfoot. You've got tons of hauntings. The Low Hotel, I've investigated it many times. Super haunted locations up there. They've got a banshee legend up there that I looked into and investigated her. Kind of went around her gravesite. And it's a really tragic story, so you have to read about it in the book. But not, it's you've got this whole thing going on there. And if you ever visited Point Pleasant, it's so weird. It's like around 5, 6 o'clock after a normal business day, the town shuts down. It's like a ghost town, man. It's really eerie. It's like this fear is almost bred into the folks up there. You better not get caught out at night, because it's just full of everything paranormal. And I love that town. It's one of my favorite places to investigate. And there's so many, you got the Chief Cornstalk curse. You've got all the legends, the Native American legends. It's full. I mean, I've been investigating up there for over 20 years, and I finally decided, I said, I'm just going to do a book. Everybody's written about Mothman, everybody knows about Mothman, but there's so much more up there. So I did a book about it, all my investigations, some of the local legend and lore there, and you'll see it when the book comes out here in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Point Pleasant is beautiful too.
Oh yeah, I love the Point Pleasant. It's a cool place. Jeff Walmsley's done a great job with the keeping the Mothman legend and story alive with his museum, and now him and his wife have a store up there called the Point Pleasant Trading Company as well. And of course, you can visit um, his 304 record store, the 304 bunker. It's really cool too. He got some of my old stuff I sold him for my old store. He's got my big giant full size Bigfoot I had made. That was based off what I saw as a kid, which was what started me in this. And he's got my Zoltar up there. I had a Zoltar in my store. I love Zoltar. It just gives you that cool, fun carnival feeling. When you can see a Zoltar and get your fortune read by a Zoltar. It's one of those fun things as a kid we do.
Yeah, man.
And
That's
of
awesome.
course, I'll be at the Mothman Festival. I'm always up there every year. I'll have my booth. Some years I speak, some years I don't. Just what depends what they want me to do. But
Yeah.
yep.
What's some strange stuff you've seen in Point Pleasant?
Oh man, those the bunker area out at the West Virginia Ordnance Works, which was basically a modern powder magazine from World War II. Where they stored all kinds of explosives because they built them there for the war effort. And just some crazy stuff out there at the bunkers. I wrote about a lot of it in my book. Like there's animal mutilation out there, like you hear about in all these UFO stories, with cattle mutilations. Well, you'll read about one that I came across out there. Me and a guy I've investigated a lot with over the years, David Weatherly, was with me. And we came across one, and it is really crazy. So just crazy stuff that you would, you've got signs of black magic being done out there or satanic practice, if you will, all kinds of different stuff people report over the years seeing hooded cloaked figures out in the woods in the bunker area out there doing rituals and having big bonfires and dancing around them and all kinds of, I mean, it's got the whole shebang going on out in Point Pleasant, man. So um crazy EVPs I've got out there, weird, different anomalies, light type of anomalies. We've seen some strange things in the sky too, unexplained lights, UFOs. I've investigated several Bigfoot cases out there over the years too. People call me say, "Hey man, we're out 4-wheeling. This is what we saw." So I go up there and check it out. Seen some tracks, some different weird stuff. So you've got really the whole plethora going on in the paranormal up there. It's like I said, it's like Skinwalker Ranch to the East Coast, man.
That's awesome, man. I love Point Pleasant as well.
Yeah, it's a cool place. Very creepy sometimes, very eerie sometimes. And then you've got the whole Native American connection up there too. And you got to remember, there's a lot of tribes have legends and their protector spirits or entities as they call them. And the whites came in there and just took over. A lot of people were killed on both sides, and a lot of people say, well, Chief Cornstalk put a curse on the area, but some of the natives rebuke that theory. They said he didn't put a curse, but only person that knows really is Chief Cornstalk, and who was there when they tricked him under a flag of truce, brought him there and killed him. So who knows, man? But there have been many tragedies in and around Point Pleasant with floods, fires, all kinds of stuff after the Cornstalk murder. So, take it for what it's worth. It's make up your own mind is all I can tell you. But and then you had the whole Mothman thing happen with the bridge falling, killed 46 people. I mean, that's still today the biggest bridge disaster in American history. So if you start putting all that stuff together, there's something going on there. And natives know where those magical places of power are, places of energy, and you've got two major rivers coming in there. We know water conducts paranormal activity, so to speak. And in the geological aspects, there's all kinds of stuff under the ground there that could contribute to that being like a portal type area. So you've got a lot of stuff going on in that area.
Do you have any Men in Black stories in your book as well?
Yeah, there were some Men in Black sightings. I do talk about Men in Black in that book too. So there's some. I don't want to give away too much. So I want people to buy the book.
For
There's
sure, man.
like I said, there's everything, a little bit of everything in that book: UFOs, cryptids, hauntings, native stuff, military clandestine projects as well. So it's got a little bit of everything. I think folks will really enjoy it. It's a whole different look at Point Pleasant and the surrounding communities. And that's talking about Gallipolis across the river and I mean everything. So I think it has several surprises in there. People will be like, "Oh wow, I never heard this before." So
That's awesome, man.
without giving away too much,
I understand, brother. I gotta try them.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That sounds
But
like
it'll be available on Amazon, and I'll announce it all over my social media when it's available for public purchase. I usually take care of I offer a couple of weeks before it comes out of pre-sales. So if you pre-sale, you buy it before it comes out to the public on Amazon, then you get it before everybody else. So I take care of those folks first, and then I make it available to the public.
will be on Audible too.
No, I don't put my books on Audible. I'm going to put my older books on Audible now, starting probably later this year, maybe early next year, because, for us independent authors that are not signed by a mainstream publisher, we lose money when we do that because people want them for $2 and $3, and that's why I'm not with a mainstream publishing company because they really rob you blind, man. You don't get the money for doing all this work. And this is, you got to remember my books are all based off my investigations, interviews, and everything that I spent, countless hours and amounts of money traveling and doing this stuff for 35 plus years now. So it's just my way of sharing what I've experienced over the years and letting people see, hey, there's a lot more to some of this than you realize. And, the mainstream publishing, they screw you, man, as a writer. So you get like $2 a book, so, and they collect all the money. So that's why I think a lot of folks have gone to independent publishing. I mean, I have a publisher, but it's independent and it's much more lucrative for us that way than it is. You got to sell. If you're getting $2 a book, you got to sell a ton. And this is a niche field, a niche area to write about, right? So, you don't have as many folks that are gonna say, "Oh, well, I want to read about this or that in the paranormal." It's not as big of consumers as it is, mainstream type of book, fiction books and stuff. My stuff is real. It's all based off of what I've seen, what I've experienced, and that's just the way we do it. Because we do make more money that way. Because mainstream wise, you got to sell tens of thousands of books even to make a little bit of money. So
Make profit, yeah.
yeah, so this way we don't have to sell as many books and we do okay and help recoup our costs of some of this stuff. You know, I wish I had half the money back I ever spent investigating the paranormal because I'd be a pretty loaded dude. you know,
Yeah, a lot of
but
money goes into it for sure.
and the money I make off my books, I just put right back into it and buy different equipment and use it to go investigate more stuff. So that's how I operate.
Definitely, man. And you've been on Ghost Hunters before.
Yeah, Ghost Nation season 2. Yep, yep. We did that was my case, demonic plantation that I had worked on for about 2 years, 2.5 years. And I get calls from some of the TV shows. Sometimes they go, "Hey, Dave," the producers will call me. "You got any cool locations we could take a look at?" And that's how that happened. And then Jason called me and said, "Hey, you got any, producer called me first, and then Jason said, "Hey, we're really interested in that plantation." And I had to fill them in, and then I spent the whole week with them there, and I can say that they are the real deal, man. I mean, they do it by the book. And I was very happy and pleased to see that. Um, they're hardcore skeptics, you have to um, be there to see it to understand. But these guys, they go hardcore at debunking everything they can. So, and Jason did have a crazy experience at the plantation. So, cool to see him. It was refreshing. A lot of these shows, you got to remember, a lot of these shows, these people are actors. They don't do what I do, man. They don't live this life daily. Nobody knew who they even were before they got on a TV show. They haven't written books. They haven't spent 30 plus years doing this stuff from the ground up, you know, doing it like several. There's not very many people that do this for real, man, and that's the truth of it. I mean, there are groups now that do it for real, but these people that are on TV, I always tell people, look to see what people's bodies of work are before you think they're some kind of guru paranormal investigator just because they got on a TV show. That's just um so that's just the reality of it. You know what I mean? And I mean that's the truth. Now TV's like a double-edged sword for the paranormal. It's good for the paranormal, right? Because now it's all pop culture and mainstream. When I first started doing this, man, if you talked about this in public, you'd be shunned. They'd call you crazy, you're on drugs, or you're worshiping the devil. My grandpa, and I think we touched on this last time, but I'm not sure. But my grandpa was a hardcore Baptist minister, fire and brimstone pounding the pulpit. But guess what? Me and him are the one that saw the Bigfoot together. And I couldn't talk to him about it. To him, that was the devil. And we don't talk about that. And it was so frustrating as a kid for me because I was like, I needed answers. I needed someone to help me because that was terrifying, man. That changed my life. And it was so frustrating. So back in those days, we didn't have the internet either. I had to go to local libraries and the public library to try to find anything I could to educate myself was what in the heck did we see, because you hear the old timer stories and they talk about the wood boogers. Here is what they call them locally, the wood boogers, and they'd always tell us, "Hey, don't stay out in the woods at night because the wood boogers will get you." And we're like, they're just trying to scare us, blah blah blah. Turns out there was something to that, and that terrified me even more because I was like, holy crap, we'd run around the woods at night and there's stuff out there we don't know what it is. And when you ever have a chance to see something like that, it's I, there's really no words to describe it other than it's truly terrifying, but it's also amazing because you realize that holy, I mean, this thing could crush a human like a tin can, you know, just the pure size of it. And like me, it changed my life. I didn't go in the woods for 6 or 7 years, and I grew up in the woods hunting and fishing, and it took me a long time to get through that, man. I had nightmares about it, and but you know, as with everything, time usually heals, and you get more knowledge and you get more educated. And when I look at it now, it was more like this thing was like it was kind of aggravated. We were in its area catching fish, and eating its fish, and it just wanted us out of there, something to that effect. And but having talked to like we talked about Nighthawk for a second, and when you talk to some of the natives that know much more about this stuff than we do, and I'm native too. I know I don't look it, but Nighthawk might tell you about the whole experience we had when we first met each other. So, whole other story there. But when you talk to some of these elders and people that are very versed and are into the native practices and they live that life, that's who they are, man, they are very enlightening people. They will fill you in, they will educate you on a whole different level than we've been taught, because I know for a fact that we've been lied to for many generations. A lot of the stuff that like mainstream religion is a freaking joke, man. It's all made up. It's for money. It's all about money, power, and control, and so much more. But that's a whole other show and a whole other topic. But when you really start digging deep and going down the rabbit hole and looking at this stuff, man, we are essentially we've been lied to. They have hidden information from us that like we should all be living to be 200, 300 years old, but they've poisoned us with so much stuff in our food and everything in the water, and they spray crap on us, and these shots, vaccines, as we call them, all about that. So there's so many things, and it's all about money, power, and control. Essentially, we're all slaves, and they've hidden the metaphysical and the spiritual side of all of it from us. And what we do, we come across some of this in the paranormal. This is what we're supposed to know. We're supposed to know much more about all of this than we really do. That's why so many people have this drive inside to learn more, because in their subconscious, they know there's more to it. We're essentially a spiritual being in a meat suit. When we die, it's not the end. Our meat suit dies, and we change forms into a different form of energy. And that's what we're studying. We want to know more about that because we know it's true. Most of us deep down know there's something else after we die. And, more than likely, we live many lifetimes in different bodies because we're here as a spiritual being. And we are here to learn lessons, so to speak, so we can ascend to a higher plane to get to where we need to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got to repeat fourth grade because we didn't learn what we were supposed to in this lifetime. We got to come back and relearn it again, or whatever the case. There's many different scenarios, but I truly, doing this for so many years, I know I've communicated with spirits. I know it for a fact. I mean, there's something else out there, and having some of the experiences I've had. Even my mom before she died, telling me all these stories that happened to her as a young woman and different things. And you talk to so many different people. Give you a prime example. My fiance, she's died 5 times technically on the table. She has a health condition, and the abilities she brought back with her are bar none amazing. Amazing. I've seen her do things that like holy. I've dealt with a lot of charlatan psychics in my time over doing this. People say they're psychic and they're not. Everybody has a little bit of abilities, don't get me wrong. But some people go way over the ledge that I can do this and do this. No, you can't. Show me then. This woman has showed me many times. And, I'll leave it at that because we have some stuff coming out about some of the things I've seen her do. with numerous eyewitnesses there. So it's amazing stuff. Uh, I love it. It's fascinating to me, and it's part of my journey, and it's part of so many other people's journeys to educate ourselves in different ways. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. You know, um, the wrong way is when you get on a TV show and you're running around saying there's a demon every week. That's just not true. I mean, it's not true, man. It's all that aspect of TV and the paranormal I can't stand. That's why you've seen they've done it to death on TV. That's why you see a lot of the shows are gone now. Um, you know, I, I think we talked about this. I've had a contract in my hand twice for my own TV show, but when you read that fine print and it says if you don't get any legitimate evidence, then you may have to manufacture some. I will not do that. That's why I'm not. I didn't sell out. I would have been probably had a lot of money by now. But I won't sell out for money. It's not why I do this. It's a hobby gone insane for me. It's part of my everyday life, and I do it because I love it and I want to share it. And I want to hear people's experiences. I want to be part of their experience. I want them to hear my experiences and give my 2 cents on what I think I know. But nobody knows everything and nobody ever will until you cross over, then you will know everything. Until that time, it's fun. The journey doing it's fun for me. I love it. And when I stop loving it, then I'll quit doing it.
Definitely, man. And you're right. Native Americans are more in touch with the spiritual realm.
Oh, 110%, man. Nighthawk blew my mind. And I was out. I'll tell that story real quick if you want.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I was at a Bigfoot conference down in Virginia, right? I'm signing my books and got a pretty good line at my table, steady for most of the day. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he came up to me and he hands me this note. And he said, "Hey, Mr. William Nighthawk would like to see you." And I was like, "Who's William Nighthawk? I don't know who that guy is." I said, "Well, okay." And I'm always about meeting people, sure. And I said, "Well, tell him I'll be able to, I'm going to take a bathroom break here in a few minutes and then I'll go over and meet him." So long story short, I go to the bathroom, then I go over there, and there he is. Native American man, got all his regalia on and this and that, and he's selling his handmade, goods that are awesome. And I walk up and introduce myself, and he's telling me, he goes, "Young man, you're very powerful, and he goes, "I got to ask you a few things and tell you a few things." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm always open to that." And he's like, "Well," he said, first thing he said was, "Who in your family's Native American?" I don't look Native American at all. And I was like, "Well, my great grandma was full blooded Cherokee." He goes, "Ah, I see." And he said, what animal have you been seeing for a long time that you're not paying attention to?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" That kind of threw me for a loop. And I'm like, "I don't know." And I said, "Let me think about it." I said, "Well, I do see hawks everywhere I go." He goes, "Ah, that's your spirit guide, and you're supposed to be paying attention to them, dummy." And he's like, they're trying to tell you something. I don't know this guy from Adam, mind you. And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Here." He goes, "I'm supposed to give you this." And he gave me a medicine bag, and he reached under his table and said, "You're supposed to have this pipe." Now that's a big deal, Native American, to be a pipe holder. I'm like, "Whoa, dude!" I said, I knew that much. I was like, "I don't know." And he goes, "No, this is how you use it." And he told me you're supposed to be doing this, right? So I had this really great experience with him. We talked for a little bit. And I said, "Well, I better get back to my table." And we exchanged numbers and stuff. So, so I go back to my table, and then my girlfriend at the time, which is my fiance now, she calls me and she goes, "We're going to Arkansas." And I'm like, "What? Okay, whatever." And normally I would ask her 100 questions. Why the hell are we going to Arkansas? This and that, right? Well, and later on, I got on the phone with her, and she goes, I said, "Why are we going to Arkansas?" She goes, "Well, there's a crystal deposit there. It's the second largest in the world. And I've gone there once, and I want to go dig crystals because she's a psychic medium, and she does a lot of crystal stuff and all that metaphysical stuff too." And we had a store, and we're gonna go dig our own crystals and sell them in the store. It's a lot of fun too. So I said, "Okay, cool. That sounds interesting." So we go all the way out there, And we're on this. So what they do is they go in the crystal mine with these giant loaders, and they bring huge scoops of stuff, and they make these piles all out there, and you just go pay your mining fee, and you dig crystals all day, and you take home whatever you get, whatever you want, that you dig out. So we're sitting there and we're finding some crystals. It's cool as heck, you're digging out big crystals and stuff. And all of a sudden, my heart started beating really weird, and I got real cold and clammy to the point where I thought I was having a heart attack. It was pretty hot out there, but I got real cold sweats, and I was like, "Hey!" And she was like 10, 20 feet from me. I said, "Better come over here and check me," because she used to work on the ambulance. And I said, "Something's not right." I said, "I don't feel right, and I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack." So she put her hands on me, started checking my pulse and stuff. She goes, "Oh man." She goes, "You got AFib and BTAC or something." I forget her terminology, but I had two different heartbeats going on. And she's freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God, we're out in the middle of nowhere. How am I going to get him out of here, medevac him out of here if he has a heart attack?" And at that same time, I start seeing tunnel vision. I said, "Oh," I said, "I'm not feeling good." I said, "I feel like I'm going to pass out." Well, I blacked out. Don't know how long. She said it for like 30 seconds that like I just blacked out sitting there, sitting on my butt. And she's doing whatever she's doing, her Reiki master stuff, trying to fix me real quick, doing her thing. And when I blacked out, I saw this vision of this ginormous hawk. Now, mind you, William Nighthawk told me, what animal have I not been paying attention to? I'm sitting on top of a giant crystal mound. I black out, have two separate heartbeats. I mean, some weird shit's going on right now. I come back to and I'm like, "Whoa, babe, did you see that big hawk?" She goes, "No, I didn't see nothing." And and then, she's doing her Reiki master stuff on me. And I quickly, within a couple of minutes, I'm okay. And of course, I was sweating and stuff. I had a spiritual experience, is what happened. And I was like, "Whoa, man, I saw this hawk. That's a message. What am I supposed to do now?" Right. So remember, my great great grandma's Cherokee. So we get done, get our crystals. We're out of there for the day. We go back to the hotel, which is like 20 miles away. And I was looking for stuff for us to do in there because we're staying there for 3 or 4 days. And they had this thing called the Blue Hole. I said, "Let's go check this out tomorrow. This looks pretty cool." Didn't read much on it. It's like 2 minutes, like 5 minutes away from us. So we go down to this Blue Hole the next day. It's really cool. They got these wooden boardwalks, and it's down into this ravine, and you see this giant blue hole of spring water coming out, just millions of gallons, and it feeds what they call the White River. Well, we don't really know. We just think it's a cool like water feature, right? We don't know what it is. So we start looking around and stuff, and I was like, "Oh my God." And I start reading the history. Well, guess what it was? Part of the Trail of Tears. Now that's where the Cherokee people, many thousands of them died. My ancestors. Um, and we go down there, and there's this rock cliff they stayed under. The first group got ahead of the main group, so they stayed for a couple of days, and they waited for the rest of the group to catch up to them at this blue hole. And there's a Native American medicine wheel on the ground. I was like, "This is insane." We were led here. I mean, this all started back in Virginia for me with William Nighthawk. So we do that, and my girlfriend, she's 3/4 Native. She's 3/4 Native. I mean, she's straight up. And so we went to the medicine wheel. We did a couple of different ceremonies in there with tobacco and sage and everything. And then we put our feet in the water and we just meditated. And this place was like fairyland, man. There was flowers everywhere and millions of different types of butterflies. It was amazing. There was trout swimming around in the water. We got our feet in there. It was like this whole healing experience. So there you go. That's my little story with all started with William Nighthawk back in Virginia and giving me a message from the ancestors, as he calls it.
That's an awesome
So,
story, man.
when you start having these kind of things happen, there's no coincidence in that. I mean, it's not, you can't make this stuff up, man. You know, he got a message to give to me. And, when he saw me speak, he said he got a message and he was supposed to give it to me. And that's what he did. So I've been working on that aspect of myself since then, off and on. But we all have different things within us that we can utilize and hone to become more connected to the spiritual side of things. But our problem is the society that we are slaves to them. So we're taught we have to get a job, go to school, get a job, pay taxes, married, you have kids, white picket fence, that type of thing. But that's not, there's much more to life than that. And we are people that do that, that don't work for themselves, are essentially slaves to the system, right? And that's what we're under. We're under a draconian system of all of that, which goes way back to the Anunnaki and everything. But that's a whole nother show. So there's so much of this stuff. Most people can't handle it, man. They can't handle the truth. They believe everything they're told, everything they see on the news, and it's so not like that, man. So once you become awake, you start realizing a lot of things, and you have to do the work. You got to do the research yourself. Don't believe everything you hear on TV because it's all 99% BS, man.
For sure, man. Definitely is. Trump
People
called it fake news.
probably say that guy's crazy, man. But hey, I've lived it. I've been there, man, and I've seen some things now that I'm totally, yep, that's right.
Yeah, that's what Trump calls fake news, man. The news media.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, there's so much more. I mean, he can't come out and say everything, because there's some people just aren't, they can't accept the reality of what we're in with this mess in the world. I mean, it's crazy what's been done to us.
Definitely. I seen today they're releasing the RFK files and the
JFK.
JFK files too.
Yeah.
They're releasing
Man,
both of them.
that's awesome. They should do that. Transparency is what we need.
Oh, and the MLK files as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw him say that in his speech the other day. So hopefully he'll release some UFO stuff too that they know about that they've been hiding all these years.
Yeah, he talked about that in a Rogan interview.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
he's seen some of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, a lot of people don't understand. They think the president knows everything. He don't, because they keep it. Wait, there's another whole level of security above the president, which should never be. That should never be. The president should have access to everything, in my point of view, because that takes away transparency. You know, and yeah, there's some reasons for that is national security, totally understandable. But if they know there's other beings out there, they can just come out and say, "Hey, there's other beings out there." They don't have to release the technology we've captured or gotten from them for national security purposes. That's fine and dandy. But if they know there's beings flying around otherworldly craft, they need to say that. The world has a right to know that. Period. And that will wake a lot of people up. But there's one side of the fence that says, well, people can't handle that because they're so brainwashed with what their religious beliefs are that they won't be able to handle it. Yeah, there will be some people that freak out totally. But if you are a common sense thinker, if you believe in God and you are a Bible thumping Christian, just because it doesn't say in the Bible that God, didn't create other beings around the universe. I mean, as a common sense thinker, okay, why wouldn't he be able to create other people? If he created us, why wouldn't he be able to create other beings? Hello. I mean, that's common sense thinking. So, the Bible, I have bad news for people. The Bible's been manipulated over and over by man for three reasons: money, power, and greed. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. The true word of God is in your heart. He's right here. You don't have to go, do all the stuff they tell you, give a 30-year pay to the church and all that. That's all malarkey, made up stuff, man. And let me tell you, I mean, we can get down the rabbit hole with some of the. I mean, when you see a so-called preacher driving around in Lamborghinis, what's that tell you? In my point of view, yeah, I mean, in my point of view, a preacher is supposed to be a humble man, or any kind of minister or religious leader. You don't run around in Lamborghinis because you bought it with all the money people are giving you because they think you're going to save them and put them in heaven. That's just a total crock. It's not you, it's not them, it's what your connection is with God.
Definitely.
And that's whatever your view of God is. Everybody's view is different. but that's the whole point of it. It's right here. It's within you.
Thanks.
So, we can get down the rabbit hole in that whole thing too. But so many things, so many things. All you got to do, I love it when hardcore, when we had our store, I live in the Bible Belt too. And of course, like I said, my papa was a Baptist minister, and he'd probably be rolling over in his grave knowing what I talk about. But the reality is, if you do the work and the research, the information's there. I mean, it talks about, even in the Bible, in the book of Ezekiel, it talks about everything we do. The Bible is one giant metaphysical book. It literally is. It talks about UFOs, fiery metal wheel that comes out of the ground on fire and flies off in the sky. What is that? That's a UFO. It talks about giants, the Nephilim, and all kinds of crazy demonic creatures that are within the Bible. I mean, it's all there. And, I always tell people, what's the greatest ghost story ever told? And they can't get it. And these are hardcore Christians, because we have many heated discussions about some of this stuff. And they're like, what do you mean, what's the greatest ghost? I said, what's the greatest ghost story ever told? And they can't get it. And I say, the resurrection of Jesus, the Holy Ghost, man. That's the greatest ghost story ever told. Think about it. He rose from the dead. And they're like, whoa, you just blew my mind, because it's the truth, That's what the Bible is, a giant metaphysical book. It talks about all this stuff, and a lot of it's real. I mean, it is. So you got to pay attention. Now, a lot of it's been manipulated, too, as well, to, like I said, money, power, and greed, man.
Yeah, our government has definitely.
Best churches to go to are the little small hometown churches, man. You want to go worship with your fellow, with your neighbors and your family, that's the best place to go, man. You don't got to go to these grand, like what's that guy's name down in New Orleans driving Lamborghinis and stuff? That's ridiculous.
Kenneth Copeland?
One of them guys, I mean, a couple of them down there, they're multi-millionaires, and he's got these mega churches, spewing their bull crap and becoming rich from it off of people's fears. If you don't give half your money to the church, you're going to burn in hell. I mean, come on, man. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks.
That is crazy. I've seen that too. I think you're talking about Kenneth Copeland. Well, he's one of them. There's multiple ones.
Yeah, there's that one guy. Remember when they had Hurricane Katrina down there, and all them people were suffering, and he could have just opened it. He would not open the doors to his church, man. That's bullcrap. Pure evil.
Definitely, man.
He should have been opening him. He should have let as many people as he could safely in there and been feeding all them folks, because he's got the mega church. He's got bathrooms. He's got everything he needs in there to take care of them people for a month or so. And he had the money to do it too. And look what he did. I'm not helping any people,
That's sad.
Bull crap.
That is, man, definitely.
But
and you got some more books coming out as well.
Well, yeah, I got West Virginia Hauntings Volume 2 is a series that I've, my this Real Hauntings of series, which I'll have many states out there in the near future: West Virginia, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, all these places I've spent vast amounts of time in investigating over my 35 plus years. New Mexico. I grew up in New Mexico from West Virginia. And stuff like that, but lots of years of doing this. So, it takes a while to write books, man. And the cool thing about my books is I got most of what I write about on video, so a lot of these people, I call them armchair writers, researchers. They sit at home and research stuff on the internet and then just rehash what someone else already wrote. These are 99.9%. Well, 90, other than interviews I've conducted with people and stuff like that who've had experiences, and some of the local lore and history I put in my books because I think people like reading about that. So, and then all the rest is based off my investigations. So, you don't get much realer than that. So,
yeah, wasn't there a story in West Virginia about like a human type alien that come down and talk to this guy?
That talked to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is the Woody Derenberger story, and his name
yeah.
was Indrid Cold. Yeah, I wrote a ton about that in my real West Virginia UFO book. I actually met his daughter, interviewed her at length, and wrote about that whole story. It's one of the stories in my real West Virginia UFO book. You can get it on Amazon now, but it's a really lengthy story. It's a very interesting story too. He claimed that this character, he had conversations with him many times over the years. Even his daughter remembers this guy coming to the house. And she wrote a book about it too. She's now no longer with us either.
Oh,
She died right after I like within a year and a half after I interviewed her. She is real sick and stuff. But it kind of makes you wonder, I wonder if they got something from this alien ET or whatever he was, Indrid Cold. But there's a connection there with Mothman too, with Indrid Cold. So, you know, pretty interesting stuff. And West Virginia, like people don't realize that West Virginia, uh, I call it like we have so many um of the most prolific UFO accounts and sightings right here in this little state, than more than like most places out west do. It's crazy. And right after the Flatwoods Monster incident, we they actually built the Green Bank Observatory to do what? Look for supposedly look for extraterrestrial signals out there in the galaxy. So there's no coincidence that that happened right after the Flatwoods Monster incident. And I write all about that too as well. SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, was created right here at the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia. And there's that book is just chock full of some really crazy accounts from people. And I found accounts dating back to the 1800s that were some of them were in church records of all places
wow.
because we didn't, back in those days, it was very rural here. We didn't have a lot of newspapers, and people would tell their pastors and preachers, "Hey, me and Joe Bob over here saw this giant thing in the sky that went from one mountain to the other mountain," and they, wrote it down in their church logs and stuff. So I found several like that over the years and put them in that book. So it goes. That book's like a chronological date of some of the coolest sightings and accounts I ever came across, and from all the way from there to modern times, and along with many other, the Mothman wave of UFO sightings, the Flatwoods Monster, and so much more. Hold
Definitely,
on.
definitely. Yeah, man, that's awesome though. I talked to her as well. She was very knowledgeable about the the encounter and stuff. And didn't she also see Cole like in the nursing home and stuff?
She told me she did once or twice. She saw him, um, but that was after later on after I interviewed her. So, what is Cole? Is he an angel? Is he an ET? What is he? I don't know. So, a lot of people talk about when they're dying, they see angels or people coming to wait for them to die and they pick them up, so to speak, and take them with them. So, you can look at it from many different angles. The guy, one thing that really aggravated me about that is some guy, I don't want to say his name on here because she told me, she trusted him and he took the rights to her book and her dad's book, and he makes all kind of money and wasn't paying her nothing, and that really peed me off. And here she is sick in the hospital, not making no money off her books. And that was really, there's some dirty, dirty people out there.
Yeah, she was very
So
nice.
yeah, she was a pretty nice lady, and it was great to be able to have those conversations with her. And I sent her a copy of my book and stuff, and thanked her for it in there. And, but we had to get her story out there too. Got to keep her story. These stories, just telling people stories.
Very, very important. Yeah, we gotta keep stories like hers alive for sure.
Yes, for sure, and that's what it's all about: is preserving the history of these. historical encounters and people's experiences, because you always have these naysayer people out there that say, "Oh, you didn't see that," and this and that. How do you know, dude? You weren't there. You cannot tell people they did not have this experience because you weren't there. you know, and that's one thing that aggravates me too. People that's notorious for the government. They tell people, oh, it was swamp gas, or it was when these people saw a Mothman and they say, oh, it was a crane. No, it wasn't. No crane is 6 or 7 foot tall and has a 10-foot wingspan, and it's black with giant red eyes, dude. I mean, people know the difference between a crane or an owl and a Mothman type creature, man. Come on. Give people benefit of the doubt here. You're talking down to people and labeling them crazy because you don't want the truth to come out.
Definitely, man. I definitely appreciate you being on, brother.
Hey, my pleasure, man. And anytime, don't hesitate.
Definitely, brother.
You
One
can get
thing.
check out my new website. It's www.davespinkspi.com. I shortened it from Paranormal Investigator, easier for people to talk. You can see all the upcoming events I'll be appearing at this year, and I'm constantly adding to that. You can see my books on there, and we since we closed our actual Dave Spinks World of Weird store, we are moving that to online, and I'm slowly getting the products online. It's not open yet, but you can go in there and start looking at some of the stuff that's going to be on there. I'm hoping to have it open by probably no later than March. So people be on there. People can go on there, order them. If you don't want to, if you want a signed book directly from me, you can order one. I'll sign it, mail it to your house, or you can just get one of my books off Amazon. Just type in Dave Spinks under authors, and you can get my books that way.
I'll put it
So,
in the
but
description.
if you want, yeah, and then once I get the store open, if you want a personalized signed book, you can order it directly from my website, and I'll sign it to you, personalize it, and send it to your house. But
Yeah,
you gotta pay a little bit extra for the shipping and handling, because if you have Amazon, usually they ship it to you for free, but you do get it signed that way. So
yeah, I'll definitely.
if you can't make it out to any of the events I'm at and stuff like that, and you want a personalized signed book, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I'll definitely put the link in the description for sure for your website,
Appreciate it, man.
and I'll put the picture of your new book as a thumbnail if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine, man.
Yeah, help
Say,
promote.
yeah, it should be available no later than the first week of February. They're just finalizing the editing on it and everything like that, putting all the pictures and good stuff like that in it. So,
For sure.
and
One
then
thing.
the next book that comes out is going to be a surprise. So I don't want to. I'm gonna. It's something totally different. Another fun project. I did the Cooking with Cryptids cookbook, and people love that. I mean, it goes crazy. So that book, I'm doing two more editions of that. The next one's Cooking with Spirits, and then Cooking with Aliens, and then we'll, see how those go and keep it going. Something fun and different.
That's awesome, man. For sure. I appreciate you being on. I want to thank
All right.
Paranormal Investigator Dave Spinks for being on. Everybody have a good night and God bless.
Have a good night, man.